All right, guys. So a quick run through on the Scratch Tic Tac Toe program. So I kind of have most of the blocks ready to go here, just so you guys didn't have to watch me fiddle around with dragging and dropping everything. Um, but basically, step by step, the first thing I did was went ahead and drew in my board here. You can go if you want to go find a sprite, a Google image somewhere, and pull that and use that. You can and just upload it under your backdrops. I drew this out. I thought it was just quicker. I just made four like big skinny rectangles here for those. You can use the lines, but sometimes it's tough to get them to be perfectly straight. They're kind of at an angle. So that was the first thing I did. Then the second thing I did was set up the costume. So basically, I put an X and an O, and then just a plain white box. So like, if you want the outline here or not, it's up to you. If you get rid of the outline, it's like completely invisible. But either one should be fine. And I just used the built-in Scratch shapes to make it quicker. And again, feel free to make this as polished and nice if you're a little more artistic. Feel free if you want to draw them or find cooler images online, whatever works for you. So, and then once I had the one, I just right click and hit duplicate, and move them all into the position that corresponds. So I had one is in the top left, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., all in their corresponding parts. So now that you have the visual aspect set up, the next thing I did was the clicking to get you to be able to switch from like a blank one to an X, or to an O rather, and then to an X. So I can kind of switch between each one now, and if you look at the number below, so this stands for top left. And when I click the flag, it switches it to 0, which means like it's an empty space. And then when I click Q, and I'll explain why it's Q in 1 second, it switches to an O. And then when I hit T, it switches to an X. So you can kind of tell 2 corresponds with X, 1 corresponds with O, and 0 corresponds with empty. So I have like top left, top middle, top right. I would go ahead and add in, like, let me add another variable. Let's say middle left. And then I would move this to here. Now you can hide these, like after you get the game working, you can go back and hide them with the checkbox, but I would put in middle, middle, middle right, bottom left, bottom middle, bottom right. Now you have a variable to keep track of each spot. Now let me show you, I brought up a little keyboard so I could show you on the video lesson. So for X, or for O rather, I use Q, W, E for the top 3. So for these, I used Q for the top left for O. And then look at this one, I used W for the top left, or top middle for O. And then for this one, I used when E is clicked, that would be the top right for O. So let me go back to the keyboard. So I use for O, QWE, ASD, ZXC, and it corresponds with QWE, ASD, ZXC. And then I did the same thing in that kind of 3x3 box, but I used for O, I used these 9 keys. So T, Y, U, G, H, J for the middle row, and then for the bottom row, B and O. So like B would put an X in the bottom left corner, T would put an X in the top right corner, or top left corner, top right corner, bottom right corner, and so on. So I only really have the top row set up for you now just because I think that will get the point across. But so after you get that set up, the next thing I realized was a problem. So when I do this and you hit Q and then you hit T or you hit Q again, you're able to override the previous move that somebody had already made. So the next step that I did was to add in these. And now what these did is, so I hit the flag to clear it, and then I would hit Q. And what this says is if top left is 0, which meaning if the top left spot is empty, it's currently 0, then it should allow you to move and put a 0 there and change this to 1. But now if I hit the T, top left is no longer 1. So this shouldn't register as true, so it'll skip over. Now when I'm hitting T, it won't let me put an X in the top spot, and vice versa. If I do hit T first to put an X there, now top left is 2. So when it does if top left is 0, that's not true. So it'll skip over, and I'm unable to replace a previous move. So I added that into each, and then the next thing I did was this check win block. So you'll need to put one of these check win blocks in every single sprite. So I have them, after each move, check win. For these two, check win. And you can see these are all pretty much the same segments of code, but I did if top middle for the middle one and if top middle for the middle one. And the keys also correspond with, I was showing you on the keyboard, Q, W, E, and T, Y, U for the 3 across. And then same thing, just top middle here, top right for this top right spot. So what the check win means is if you go back to here, let me drag check win back in. So this will be basically, it's the best way to get this to fit all in one. Put it here. So the way check win will work, maybe that's pretty good. So check win will work. So that sends an alert like after each move. Go ahead and go through this section of code, which will check to see if anybody has 3 in a row. So the way you'll tell if there's 3 in a row is if top left is 1 and top middle is 1 and top right is 1. So when I do this, if this is 1 and this is 1 and this is 1, then O would win. And you could do the same thing. You can duplicate this. You can change this to 2, 2, and 2, and then just change this to X wins. Oops. So now same thing, if I did X 3 times in a row, then it would give me X wins. So I would probably do, before I did these, I would get rid of this, and I would do the next one would be to duplicate this, and I would do middle left, which I think I made that variable. Middle left is 1, and I didn't make these yet, but you can make this middle, make this middle right, and then you keep going, and then you would do bottom left is 1, bottom middle is 1, bottom right is 1, and then keep copying all. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 combinations there, and then you can duplicate this entire thing and change it all to 2s and X wins. So I think that should give you a decent idea on how to get started. So watch it through. Go back if you need to check something a second time, and then just let me know if there's anything I can do to help you or clear anything up. So thanks, guys.